Yo, what is up, guys? My name is Nicholas Earl, and welcome back to another episode of Earl Sports Bets. And today we have got UFC 258, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. Before we get into the video, as always, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do UFC videos every single Friday. There is a card now, or every Friday night, Saturday morning, I do a card for the Saturday night card, or a video for the card. Um, so subscribe if you're interested in UFC as well. And let me know in the comment section below who your favorite UFC play for tomorrow night is. Let's get right into the card here. I'm not going to really waste any time. We have 11 fights to go over, so it should be a fun night of fights. And we're starting it off with a interesting one in a female fight. We got Miranda Maverick taking on Jillian Robertson, minus 152 for Maverick, plus 132 for Robertson. Robertson coming into this fight 9-5, 6-3 in the UFC. Miranda Maverick is 8-2, 1-0 in the UFC. Robertson coming off of a decision loss versus Taila Santos, but we've seen Taila Santos is not that bad. She won her last fight. And then Miranda Maverick coming in off of a doctor stoppage, first round knockout against Liana Jojua. Looking at this fight, it's pretty simple. There's two paths to victory. I like the under 2.5 in this one. I think there could be a finish in this one, but because there's two paths. Let me get back to that. For Robertson, take the fight to the ground and get a submission. And I love betting unders for Robertson fights because she's even come out and said it herself. She is a position or a submission over position girl. So definitely something you like to hear if you're looking for the under 2.5 as well. Both these fighters predicted in interviews that they're going to get second round knockouts or second round finishes. Robertson submission, Maverick knockout. For Maverick, she does have the striking advantage. She's got really good elbows as well, and she has the better gas tank. But she is very prone to takedowns, and I think if she gets taken down, it's not going to be a good thing for her. Being on the mat with Jillian Robertson. She is the bigger fighter, so it'll be interesting to see if Robertson will be able to get her down. But for this fight, I am looking at the dog here. Love the lady dog at plus 132, Jillian Robertson. We're going to be going with her. If we want to go Jillian Robertson by submission, plus 350 is not bad. If you want to bet it each round, 8-1 first round, 12-1 second round, 18-1 third round, that could be interesting as well. I might look at the first and second round submission props for Robertson potentially, but I like plus 132 for Jillian Robertson and potentially the under 2.5 rounds. But my pick for this fight is Jillian Robertson at that plus 132 tag. Next, we have Gabe Green taking on Philip Rowe. A very interesting fight here. Minus 129 for Gabe Green, plus 109 for Philip Rowe. And Green coming in 9-3, 0-1 in the UFC. Philip Rowe, 7-2, his debut in the UFC. Gabe Green, in his only UFC fight, lost a decision against Daniel Rodriguez. No big deal there. Both of these are very green fighters. No pun intended for Gabe Green there. But okay, Gabe Green does have the better ground game, and I believe he is durable, but I don't think he's meant to be at 170. He's probably more of a 155er. On the other hand, Philip Rowe, he's got the height advantage. He's got the reach advantage. I think he's going to keep this fight on the feet. He's the bigger fighter. He has an interesting stance. The only thing I'm worried about with him is his takedown defense. He could be very prone to takedowns, and I think Green does have the advantage on the mat. But I think this is going to be one of those fights where Philip Rowe is going to piece Gabe Green apart on the feet. And we're going to be going with Philip Rowe by knockout. I have him plus 109 to win straight up. My prediction is it's going to be by knockout. So if you like Philip Rowe by knockout, it's plus 300. something to look at there. But we're going plus 109, Philip Rowe in the second fight. So back to back slight dogs to start the night. Um, I feel like there's a lot of live dogs in this card. So it should be interesting. But on to our third fight of the night. We have Andre Ewell taking on Chris Gutierrez. Minus 118 for Gutierrez, plus 118 for Andre Ewell. Coming into this fight, Andre Ewell is 17-6, 4-2 in the UFC. Gutierrez is 15-3-2, 3-1-1 in the UFC. Gutierrez coming off of a draw versus Cody Durden and then a knockout loss versus Morales. No, my bad. He won that against Morales. He lost to okay. Where he got a leg kick knockout. Andre Ewell coming off of back-to-back decision wins versus Martinez and Erwin Rivera. And looking at this fight, Andre Ewell has an 8-inch reach advantage. I think that's going to play huge in this one. I think he's just going to stick to the outside, jab at Gutierrez, keep the distance, keep that higher volume. It definitely has the better gas tank. I like Andre Ewell in this fight. The only thing to watch out for is those leg kicks for Chris Gutierrez. He's probably one of the hardest kickers in UFC. He's looking to come and damage those calves and really try to limit the mobility of Andre Ewell. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. But once again, we're going with another dog here. Andre Ewell at plus 118. Going with 3 dogs to start the card. I feel like these guys have good chances at winning the fights, though. So give me Andre Ewell plus 118 versus Chris Gutierrez tomorrow night. Next, we have Poliana Viana taking on Mallory Martin. Minus 144 for Martin, plus 124 for Viana. Viana coming in 11-4, 2-3 in the UFC. Mallory Martin 7-3, 1-1 in the UFC. Viana coming off of a round 1 submission versus Emily Whitmire. But the fight before that did get submitted against Macedo within a minute and a half. And then also lost a decision versus Hannah Cyphers, which is kind of concerning. Mallory Martin coming off of a submission win versus Hannah Cyphers, and then a round loss. Her only loss in the UFC is a submission versus Janarova. It's the only time she's been finished. There's no, I don't blame her for that one. Janarova is one of the best BJJ players in women's MMA right now. So that was her only UFC loss. Looking at this, I think Vienna is, even for women's MMA, which is surprising. She's a round 1 or bust. She doesn't really do well after he gets out of the first round. And she's kind of reckless with her striking, which is interesting to see. But she's decent off her back, but her takedowns defense is weak, and she doesn't have that great BJJ. I think Mallory Martin definitely has the striking advantage. She has the wrestling advantage. She has the gas tank advantage. And I think she'll be able to choose where this fight goes. If she wants to wrestle, she's going to wrestle. If she wants to strike, she's going to strike. It's just the way it's going to be. Mallory Martin's just going to control this fight. And I think she's going to be an absolute great live betting situation potentially if she makes it out of the first round. Probably you can get her at a better price than minus 144. But we're going to go with Mallory Martin in this fight, minus 144, to get the win. I think she's going to get a decision win here against Poliana Viana. All right. Next, we have Diego Lima taking on Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad. Minus 500 for Bilal Muhammad, plus 375 for Diego Lima. In this fight, Lima coming in 15-7, 3-2 in the UFC. Muhammad is 17-3, 8-3 in the UFC. Muhammad coming off of a decision win versus Lyman Good. A submission win before that against Sato in round 3. But if you look at it, his fights beforehand, decision win, decision loss, decision win, decision win. This guy is a decision machine. And Sato is, I think, less than 2 minutes left in the fight. Look at Diego Lima. He won decision against Jomeu against Reese McGee. So both of these guys know how to go 15 minutes. Um, Thing is, Lima hasn't fought in a while. It's been a couple of years since he's fought, but he does have good takedown defense. I think he could be potentially the better striker, and he has improved grappling since he's last fought. Um, but the thing is, he's just too inconsistent for my liking. Could he get his hand raised tomorrow night? Absolutely. Um, but I just think Muhammad's the better overall fighter. Um, he has the better overall game. He's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. He has decent striking, decent wrestling, decent grappling. He can do it all. We're gonna go with Belal Muhammad by decision. Um, I think he'll end up getting the win, outpointing Lima. Uh, but minus 500 is not something I want to lay. This is not a fight I'm going to bet straight up. It's either going to be part of a parlay or that's just about it. I think Muhammad it could be parlayable material, but it's not someone I'm going out of my way at 5-1. Those are very wide odds. So it's just I'm going to say Belal Muhammad by decision, but I'm probably not going to bet this fight straight up. Next, we have a another very wide line, but potentially different bet. We have Rodolfo Vieira versus Fluffy Anthony Hernandez. Uh, Vieira is 7-0, 2-0 in the UFC. Hernandez is 7-2, 1-2 in the UFC. Minus 400 for Vieira, plus 300 for Hernandez. Vieira coming in off of a round one submission versus Saburov. Um, Hernandez in his last fight got knocked out in the first round against Kevin Holland, which that loss has actually aged really well as Kevin Holland had dominated 2020. Um, and looking at this fight, uh, for Vieira as a minus 400, he's not a complete MMA fighter. He's basically only a jiu-jitsu person. Uh, his cardio is weak. He doesn't really strike. He's not a complete fighter. I think he's a round one or bust, really. So, and I think this line is way too wide. This could be a great live betting opportunity if you want to live bet this fight. If Anthony Hernandez makes it out of round one, I think he can get this done and get a win. Um, I think Anthony Hernandez, he's going to need to survive round one, obviously. I think he's going to have to keep it on the feet, and I think he's going to have to box for 15 minutes. Um, so this should be an interesting thing. I definitely think he is a live dog. I think he might be slept on a little bit here after he got knocked out in round one. We've seen plenty of fighters get knocked out, uh, and then the next fight come back and get a nice upset win. We're going to go Fluffy Hernandez in this fight just because I think this is the value play. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think at that plus 300 value, I think that gives you enough of a incentive to play him. I'm going to say Hernandez by knockout. Next, we have the start of the main card, and this one is one I'm actually really looking forward to. One of my favorite fighters is in this one. We have Ricky Simone taking on Brian Boom Kelleher. Simone is 17-3, 5-2 in the UFC. Kelleher 22-11, 6-4 in the UFC. Minus 242 for Simone, plus 207 for Kelleher. Kelleher coming off of a submission win versus Rodriguez after a submission loss versus Stamen. And then earlier in the year, he also knocked out Hunter Ashore, and he's also submitted Odie Osborne with that nice guillotine choke, which that win has aged well after what Osborne did last week. Ricky Simone coming in off of a round two submission win versus Perello a couple weeks ago after a decision win versus Ray Borg. But looking at this fight, Ricky Simone is extremely hittable. I think that Kelleher could be able to box with him here. But Ricky Simone, I think, will have the higher volume, and he does have the better cardio, but his chin is very suspect. After that, he did lose a very bad knockout versus Uriah Faber when he was washed up, like 40 years old, a couple years ago. But the thing with Ricky Simone, he has that very flashy wrestling, um, which I think could lead him to potentially gas in late third, late second, early third round. Um, Looking at Kelleher, I think it's going to be a finisher bust type of thing for him, but I think he definitely has the power to clip Ricky Simone. I think he's absolutely 100% a live dog. He has lots of experience. He's definitely the value play here, and he may be able to have decent takedown defense for all those takedown attempts that Ricky Simone is going to throw at him. And he has a really good guillotine, Brian Keller, one of the best in the UFC. And I think potentially he's going to get that. I'm going to say Kelleher wins a submission by a guillotine choke. I think that Simone may come in, try to get one of those single leg, double leg takedowns, and he's going to get his neck snatched by Kelleher, and he's going to get choked out. Give me Brian Kelleher by submission. I love that plus 207 for Kelleher. And let's see. Kelleher by submission, a nice plus 500 tag. I might sprinkle like a quarter of a unit, half a unit on that. That could be a nice little bet there. But we're going Brian Kelleher plus 207 versus Ricky Simone. We got a lot of dogs in this one, and I absolutely like the dogs in this on this card. So give me uh, Brian Kelleher plus 207 versus Ricky Simone. Next, we have another fun one here. Julian Marquez taking on Maki Coconut Bombs Patolo. Minus 164 for Marquez, plus 144 for Patolo. Marquez 7-1, 1-1 in the UFC. Patolo is 13-7, 1-3 in the UFC. This could be a pink slip fight for Maki Patolo. Julian Marquez hasn't fought in a couple of years. He's on a 3-year absence after his decision loss to DiCirico. And Maki Patolo in his last fight had a decision loss versus Impa Kasagian. Looking at this fight, yeah, I don't know what to expect from Julian Marquez with this 3-year layoff. I think he definitely needs to grapple in this one. I think his cardio is going to be a big problem here. So this may be a round one or bust type thing for Marquez, but he may need to just have a good game plan and get some takedowns, and really needs to grapple with coconut bombs here. I don't think the game plan for Marquez should be going there and try to box with him, because that's exactly what Maki wants. Maki Patolo coming into this, I think he's going to have to. It's going to have to stay on the feet if Maki Patolo wants a shot at this fight. He has great boxing. He's going to have the higher volume, and he's got some very good body shots. And once again, I want to keep going with the theme of this card. We're going with the dog again. I like Maki Patolo to get the win in this fight. I just think he's been more active, and I think it's going to be a lot of ring rust for Julian Marquez. I don't think he's going to be able to strike much. He had that really bad back surgeries, which affects his shoulder. So I think this is definitely a fight Maki Patolo could potentially pull off the upset. So give me Patolo here at plus 144 versus Julian Marquez. All right, on to the next fight of the night. Kevin Gastelum taking on Ian Heinisch. Gastelum 16-6, 9-6 in the UFC. Heinisch is 14-3, 3-2 in the UFC. You can get Kevin Gastelum for minus 220, plus 185 run back for Ian Heinisch. Kevin Gastelum coming into this fight on a 3-game losing streak, but it's to really good competition. He has a submission loss to Hermanson, and then decision losses versus Darren Till and Israel Adesanya. This Kevin Gastelum, I think, if he can turn it around, could have another shot at the title. He definitely has the talent there, but it's just going to be what type of Kevin Gastelum are we going to be seeing for this fight. Ian Heinisch coming in off of a great knockout versus GM3 in his last fight on the it was the card with Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer. Looking at this fight, I think definitely Kevin Gastelum has the better striking, better cardio, and should be able to outstrike Ian Heinisch on the feet here. The only thing is, Gaslam's not looked good since that Adesanya fight. Question is, how motivated is he going to be? But I think this is definitely a step down in competition for Gastelum with Ian Heinisch after fighting Adesanya, after fighting Darren Till, after fighting Jack Hermanson. He's getting Ian Heinisch, which I don't think is a slouch by any stretch of the imagination, but he's definitely not a top guy like those three last fights he's had. Um, I think for Ian Heinisch, he probably has to avoid takedowns because if he gets taken down, that's going to screw him over. The only time he's yet to be taken down in a fight was that knockout win against GM3. So we're going to be going with Kevin Gastelum by decision in this one, minus 220. I think this could be a nice parlayable piece. Um, I think Gastelum should get a relatively easy-ish decision win. It just depends on what type of Kevin Gastelum we see tomorrow night. I think he's going to get the win, minus 220. I'm okay with that. Give me Kevin Gastelum versus Ian Heinisch. Next, we have the co-main event of the evening. Macy Barber taking on Alexa Grasso, minus 118, minus 102. Kind of like a pick 'em here. Macy Barber coming in 8-1, 3-1 in the UFC, coming off of a loss herself. Alexa Grasso is 12-3, 4-3 in the UFC, coming off of 3 straight decision wins. Macy Barber coming off of a decision loss versus Roxanne Modafferi. Alexa Grasso coming off of a decision win versus Song Yu Kim. Looking at this fight, I think this is just going to have to be a spot where Macy Barber just bullies Alexa throughout this fight. She's going to have to push the pace. She has more power. She needs to clinch. She needs to get some takedowns and make this an ugly fight and just try to wrestle and dominate the fight that way for Barber. I think that Grasso is going to have to stay on the feet because her striking is she definitely has the better striking. And she's the best boxer that Macy Barber has faced, I think, so far in her career. The only thing with Grasso is her takedown defense is weak, which I think will play into Macy Barber's hands here. I think that Barber will be able to take down Grasso and just dominate her and get the top position on the ground. I don't know if she's going to get a submission or not, anything like that. I'm going to go with Macy Barber by decision for this fight because I think she can just get control and just like a lay and pray type of decision win for Macy Barber. So give me Barber by decision versus Alexa Grasso. And we have made it to the main event of the evening, the welterweight championship of the world. Kamaru Usman taking on Gilbert Burns. Usman is 17-1, 11-0 in the UFC. Gilbert Burns is 9-3, 5-0 in the UFC, and this is going to be an interesting fight. These two were training teammates, so it's going to be interesting to see. Kamaru Usman coming off of, or is 11-0, coming off of a decision win versus Jorge Masvidal. He had that knockout versus Colby Covington. He had the decision win versus Tyron Woodley. He's got a win against Dos Anjos. He's got a win against Damian Maia. Looking at Gilbert Burns, on the other hand, he's got a win versus a washed-up Tyron Woodley a little while ago. When Usman beat Woodley, it was for the belt, I believe. Burns has got a knockout win versus Damian Maia, a 40-something-year-old Damian Maia. Gunnar Nelson, Gilbert Burns, I think, definitely had the easier path to getting to this title fight than Kamaru Usman has. And honestly, looking into this fight, I think Usman is just going to dominate this fight. He's going to control him. He's going to wear on him. And he's definitely got the wrestling advantage. He's got cardio for 25 minutes. And he's got a decent jab game as well, Kamaru Usman. For Burns, does have improved striking, and he's got the better BJJ, but I just don't think that this is a good matchup for Gilbert Burns. I don't even think he's a top 5 fighter. Like, if you look at that division, Masvidal is better than him, Covington is better than him, Leon Edwards is better than him, Thompson is better than him. I think even potentially Khamzat Chimaev is better than Gilbert Burns. This is a thing where I think Gilbert Burns doesn't really deserve the opportunity here yet. I think he needed one or two more good wins, and I think he's just way too early here for a title shot of Kamaru Usman. I think he dominates Usman, or Usman dominates, gets the decision win, minus 260. I think the decision prop is probably around minus 150 for this. Plus 105 for Usman by decision, fifth round. Yeah, I think maybe a fourth or fifth round knockout could be interesting at 20 and 25 to 1. But I definitely see Kamaru Usman getting the win. The over 4.5 is definitely a play I like as well, minus 145. But give me Kamaru Usman to be the defending welterweight champion of the world and potentially get another fight against Kamaru or against Colby Covington or someone along those lines for the belt. So I got Kamaru Usman tomorrow night in the welterweight championship of the world for UFC 258. All right, let's quickly go over our plays for the video, and then we're going to head on out for this UFC 258. We have Julian Robertson, Philip Rowe, Andre Ewell, Mallory Martin, Belal Muhammad, Anthony Hernandez, Brian Kelleher, Maki Patolo, Kevin Gastelum, Macy Barber, and Kamaru Usman for tomorrow night. If this information was helpful to you guys all, feel free to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We create plenty of content. As you can tell, we have a wide range of sports on this channel. So definitely appreciate it if you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know whenever we come out with a video here at All Sports Bets. But that's going to just about do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe as always. And let's make some money and cash some bets tomorrow during UFC 258. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.